I think we're ready to go. Sock monkey's in place. The lighting is just set mostly right, so I'm not overexposed. Let's do this. Hey everyone, I'm Daddy Sam, and you are tuned in to A Touch of Gay podcast, episode 59, for the 17th of May, 2026. We have a lot of important topics to cover today, including a travel advisory for those coming into the United States for IML next week. We're going to be talking about passing our history along to our younger generations, because why? They don't teach us in school. And we also want to circle back to IML and talk about the fact that you can watch the contest Friday and Sunday live broadcasts. Even if you can't go to IML, you can still keep up with the action and see all of the exciting parts and pieces to the event. But let's get back to where we normally start. Our podcast is my weekly check-in with you, where I get to tell you what's going on at my kitchen table, as well as the kitchen table of the LGBTQ+, that's always a mouthful, the kitchen table of our community out there in the fishbowl. And every week I like to start with our daily inspiration, which is gleaned from our social media channels, A Touch of Gay Pod on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky. We don't do the X because it's just negative. It's just negative energy out there. We don't do that. So our daily inspiration today is simply this. It's our duty to pass our history and culture to our next generations. As people in the LGBTQ+ community, it is our duty to pass our history and our culture on to the people coming up behind us. Because as I said at the outset of the episode, they don't teach us in school. They don't have LGBTQ+ history in schools. They don't teach our culture in schools, the things that led up to where our community is today. And they certainly don't talk about the sex and all of the things that we need to know if we're going to be operating as a sexual being in our community. The biggest thing that we each need to do just in our own communities is we need to learn our history, read books, go to museums, and we need to pass that along. One of the things that leather clubs, and we're a leather flavored podcast, and so I often talk about leather clubs. One of their functions that is very good for the community, even if you're not really deep into leather, is educating their members on community history, where we came from, what molded us to where we're at, and passing that along to the younger generations coming in. Now, if you don't have access to that, or maybe a lot of people that can mentor you, there are museums around the country. Now, museums, not the most popular thing to suggest. Not everybody can get to one, but I just want to name a couple of them out there so that you can go and learn some history that maybe somebody hasn't told you about. The top one that I've been to that I absolutely love is the Leather Archives Museum in Chicago. There's another one in San Francisco, the GLBT Historical Society Museum. In New York, there's a couple of them, the American LGBTQ+ Museum, and also the Lesbian History Archives. That's in Brooklyn. Now, there are links to these in our show notes. And if you Google LGBTQ+ museums, you will find them all over the country. And I encourage you to educate yourself. There are a lot of documentaries out there online. There are a lot of podcasts that go over our history and talk about not only our past culture, but our current culture. Educate you in etiquette, because a lot of people don't know etiquette. We don't teach that in school, right? So when you go to clubs and bars, sex clubs, when you're dating using the apps, a lot of people have to learn the hard way what's right and wrong and how to behave. There's a lot of us out there that are a little bit older, like myself, who have the opportunity to share these things and mentor our younger generations so that they can have a happy, joyous, and free experience in our community. So that's my PSA for today. I'm going to check in just a little bit. We have some family business in our community. Now, last week's episode was entirely devoted to the tool shed incident, which was alleged discrimination on the part of the tool shed toward the Onyx Southwest chapter, a leather club, and DJ Honey Davenport. That's been well reported. If you want to know the whole story about it, go back and watch last week's episode. Chances are you already have, because it is one of the most played episodes of our podcast history by a long shot, more than 10 times higher than even our most popular podcast episodes in the past. Which I'm always happy to have good traffic, but I'm sort of sad that all of that traffic and exposure had to come out of a negative experience and a negative story in our community. But I started this podcast to be a service to my community. I mostly talk about happy, happy, joy, joy, but sometimes there are things that have to be called out because Calling things out is kind. It just is. One of the things that I experienced in this last week while that has been going on is I have gotten a number of people in private messages that were very negative, that were very, I don't know how to say it. They were just outright racist. They are outright bigoted, and they are outright angry and resentful about the fact that I dared talk about what happened. There's always going to be people that disagree with you. I'm good with that. I've been a journalist for over 20 years. I can deal with disagreement and people wanting to debate my position on things. And I had to put out, after a couple of days of getting all of this flack in my private messages and on my social media, A Touch of Gay Pod on all of those channels, we got quite a few posts from some very interesting people that had some opinions on whether racism exists or not and how dare I talk about it. What I will tell you, and just like I post on our social media a couple days after this went live, was the fact that this is a story that I put on with some care and some due diligence. I made sure that there were multiple corroborating sources. And that was Honey Davenport posted a video of their own account of the events. Onyx Southwest, which is a large leather organization, they posted their own account of the events. They were there. It was their event. They had their own account of what happened. It matched and dovetailed perfectly with that of DJ Honey Davenport. And then third, and most important, was a statement posted by the Toolshed, which, while not taking complete accountability, it wasn't like a deep, meaningful apology. It did acknowledge the incident happened. They apologized for it. They explained how they're going to try to address these issues in the future. They did not deny any of the allegations. Let me repeat that. The Toolshed posted their own account acknowledging what happened, apologizing for what happened, and they laid out a few bullet points, though while very general and antiseptic, on how they are going to address these issues in the future. You don't do that. You don't issue a statement like that if it didn't happen. If what DJ Honey Davenport and what Onyx Southwest alleged was completely false, was completely baseless, a good business like the Toolshed probably would have said so, but they did not. So I really want to underline that for the people out there that are out there still on social media making an ass of themselves, talking about how this never happened. It was just lies. It was a bunch of BS, that we shouldn't be dealing with this. We shouldn't be worrying about this in our community. Sometimes you just can't reach people. That's all I can tell you. But I just wanted to cover that, and we're going to put that behind us. I am getting ready for IML. By next week at this time, when you hear next week's episode, I will be in Chicago playing International Mr. Leather and having a wonderful time with all of the people in our community and doing all of that. I'm extremely excited. I have a stack of things over here in my office that I'm starting to gather to get ready to start packing. One of the things is my own travel coffee pot, because the Congress Plaza Hotel, while a very interesting, wonderful place to be, is pretty suck when it comes to coffee service. The coffee pots in the rooms have those little proprietary packets that you can't buy more of at the stores. They give you one or two of them for your room. I'm a coffee drinker. I have multiple cups of coffee every day. I have to have my coffee. And it's a bummer that getting a cup of coffee at the hotel is nearly impossible. They have restaurants there, but you have to go in and it's like a sit down. You can't just walk up and go, hey, can I have this? No, there's no coffee bar. There's no bagel and breakfast bar at the hotel, like even a Motel 6 gives you, but no, not in a nice hotel. And Starbucks and Dunkin' are a walk. I just don't want to have to go for a 10-minute walk in the morning to go get a cup of coffee, one cup of coffee. No, so I have my own coffee pot this year that I'm taking. I'm taking a bag of coffee with me, and I'm going to just drink coffee to my heart's content at the Congress Plaza Hotel this year. All right, there. I've gotten my resentment off my chest for the week. And the last thing I will tell you is, I've talked about it in previous episodes. I've been making my own leather because I just wanted some. And so if you're watching this on YouTube right now, you can see this beautiful navy leather bar vest that I'm wearing that has contrast stitching and a matching pair of armbands, which are black and navy blue with brass accents and the contrast stitching to go along with it. I'm happy about this. This has a beautiful mesh pattern on the back, which you can see in the pictures I'm putting up on YouTube right now. This was a difficult project to make. And I'll be honest with you, this is the first time I've ever done a leather project where I put contrast stitching. And one of the problems with contrast stitching is if you've ever sewn or ever done any kind of a leather project is the stitching is the hardest part to get right, to make look right. And any little mistake you make in the stitching, any little quality problem with the stitching is like a loud screaming voice. It just pops off the background. So it's been very taxing to make a project like this and do contrast stitching, but I've been getting through it. I've been learning to work on my sewing machine and get it dialed in a little better so that the stitching comes out the way it should. So that's where I'm at. That's my check-in for the week. And we will be having a episode next week while IML is going on. It's going to be pre-recorded a little bit earlier than normal. So it'll be in the time machine, so to speak. But don't worry, even though I will not be here, we will have an episode for that weekend for Memorial Day. Speaking about IML, and it's an international event. People come in literally from all over the world to attend this. And more importantly, people come in from all over the world to compete at this event. And I really want to put an important warning out there. I hate to say warning. It's an advisory. It's advice. If you are traveling into the United States for this event and you are a man or woman or transgender person that's in the Leather Fetish Kink community, be very careful when you get to the TSA checkpoint and when you go through that process, because the TSA can search your phone, and they will, looking for any reason to deny you entry. And they are especially picking on people in the LGBTQ plus community. So what that means is they are looking for pictures. They are looking for your connections to organizations. They are looking for your websites. They are looking for your social media to see what you're putting out there and what you're about. Anything that they can see that they can perceive or allege to be connected to illegal acts, they will use to deny you entry. And this comes from a story that just happened last month. Milo Miles, who is a gay porn star, was going to Las Vegas for the Grabbies. And this is exactly what happened to him. He was coming into the States. They went through his phone. They found things on his phone that were links to websites or web pages that he had, his social media. They accused him of being a prostitute, and they banned him from the United States for 10 years. Done. No court hearing, no jury trial. He's just banned for 10 years. There's a whole story that you can read about this, and I'm not going to dig into the details of it, but the point of it is, this is the kind of thing that they're doing. There are people that work at the TSA and work for our government that are empowered by our administration right now who don't like the LGBTQ plus community. And they've been given directives to really focus on our community and try to deny us free movement, essentially. You don't want to have anything on your phone that is going to possibly incriminate you, or at least give them a cause to say, no, sorry, you can't come, and possibly get you denied from the States. What I would suggest in this, if you're coming to the United States for this event and your phone is full of just for fans, fans only, whatever, if you've got accounts on websites, if you've got social media out there, X, Blue Sky, that show pornography with you in it or you attached to it, maybe you have an account on a massage website and you offer services, anything like that, even just pictures of pornography on your phone that you've downloaded and that you enjoy, or you have memberships to any of the video sites out there, anything like that, I highly suggest you put that phone in a drawer and you get yourself a new phone to travel to the United States with that is completely clean of anything. You might download your contacts to it. You might get a different phone number and have all of your current number cell phone calls and your texts forwarded so that you can still connect with people. But don't have any of the apps on your phone. Don't have any bookmarks for anything that they can look at. And if you want to get into all that stuff once you get into the States and you're here, you want to download some apps so you can connect with people, whatever that is, I highly suggest maybe bringing yourself a clean phone just to keep them from being able to deny you entry, or at least delay you, because one of the things they can do is delay you for a day or two, and that can cost you your trip. You might be able to get over the challenges with time and money. But if they cost you your trip, they cost you your ability to get here and compete, they've done what they wanted to do. The last thing I would include in this is don't package anything in your carry-on or your checked baggage that is contraband. That goes without saying, but there have been a lot of news stories where Customs and Border Patrol and the TSA have been really giving people the once-over. And I'm not just talking about things that are illegal, that are clearly illegal. If you have any gear that you're bringing along, any toys that you're bringing along, make sure that you are willing to explain those things when you get to the checkpoint, because they will go through your checked baggage. And if you have anything in there that they can try to impugn you with, they're going to do it. Anything like that, make sure that you're confident and willing to have a conversation with them about that, explain it and defend it. And if you want to bring those little brown bottles, I suggest you don't. There are plenty of brown bottles available in the United States. Wait till you get here. When you get to Chicago, there are places you can get that. But I wouldn't travel with it. Even in the United States, internally from state to state, I don't recommend people travel with that, especially if the bottle's been opened. But that said, there are just some precautions. I want all of you coming from other countries to get here safely. I want you to be able to come and compete. Your community loves you here, but our government doesn't. So just be aware of that. And if you're in the transgender community and you have passport and ID, make sure that you get on the websites. And most of you have already been down this path. You know what you're into, but just be very careful and aware of what the policies are right now regarding your passport and getting in and out and traveling. And so I wish you the best of luck, and I hope to see you at IML next week. Just be very careful. I love you all, and I don't want anybody getting held up or even getting banned from our country just because they had pictures on their phone that made it look like things, they can be accused of. So there's that. Now, I want to talk about a podcast because we just talked earlier on about passing our culture down to our future generations. And so I love to plug a podcast that is about educating our community. I just found a brand new one this week, and it's really, really good. It is the LFK podcast with Chad Onyx and Darth Onyx. Now, Chad and Darth Onyx are members of the Onyx SoCal Southwest Leather Organization. Now, this is not an official podcast of that organization, but these two gentlemen have a long history in the leather community. They are educators in the leather community, and they have created this fun, very well done podcast that is fun to listen to, talking about all kinds of things. And I'm just going to read their own description really quick so that I don't screw it up. Leather Fetish Kink, LFK, is a podcast for the leather and kink communities, welcoming all while centering storytelling from the people of color perspective. Expect real talk, shared experiences, a little shade, and a lot of laughs. They'll also be having conversations that celebrate diversity, visibility, and connection. So it is a heavily weighted program for people of color, but that's great. Obviously, in our current environment, we need more of that. But this is about Leather Fetish Kink in general as well. Even if you're not a person of color, I'm a white guy. I sat and listened to their first 2 episodes this week, and I got a chuckle. They were fun. And I have met Chad Onyx before. I don't know him super well, but I have met him, and I've been to some events with him. Darth Onyx I have yet to meet, but these two guys are some big leather daddies that are good looking, and they've got a lot of great experiences to share. They are co-hosts, and they will be having guests on over time. You can find them on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Music. That's the LFK podcast with Chad Onyx and Darth Onyx. You can also find them on Instagram at LFK Podcast. And that is in our show notes as well. So you can click on that link and find them. I highly recommend it. These guys are only on, as I do this recording, their 2nd episode. And I think it's better than this one, which isn't too hard, honestly, but they've done a really good job in putting this together. They deserve a listen and they deserve kudos. And the last thing we're going to talk about today is our event for the week, which is International Mr. Leather and the Boot Black. But it's not the event itself because we've been talking about it a lot the past couple of weeks. I'm talking about the live broadcast that's presented by RECON. It's going to be Friday, the 22nd of May, Friday night, and Sunday, the 24th of May, Sunday night. And that's because this contest is broken into 2 nights. Friday is the first half. Sunday is the final contest where the winner is awarded. And you'll get to meet all of the contestants. You'll get to see them make speeches. You will get to see them do various types of performative activities that allow them to be scored. It is a fun event. The best part about it is hosted live during the event by some pretty big people in our community. And that's Ralph Bruneau. He was IML 2017, Girl Complex, International Mrs. Leather 2017, and Ryan Carpenter, International Boot Black 2017. This is a collection of people who are highly respected, and they did this last year for the live broadcast. It was a really successful event. Now, it is pay-per-view. You can go to the website that's on the screen if you're watching us on YouTube. It's in the show notes if you're listening to us. It's hosted by RECON. It is a $50 pay-per-view charge, but that includes both the Friday and the Sunday night events. And you can watch the entire thing even if you can't go to Chicago. It's exciting. It's fun. If you care about the leather community, that is. And because there are people coming from all around the world and all around the country from various local communities, guess what? There are watch parties going on in these local communities where you don't have to pay that $50 charge. The bar's already taken care of it, and you can go and watch it live with your local friends. It's going on in my community. I see it on social media. A lot of the big cities and communities, if you check with your local bars on their social media, you might find that they're hosting watch parties or maybe even the local clubs. So just because that $50 fee might be a little bit of a barrier, don't worry about that. Even though you might spend that $50 at the bar watching it, there are ways to get there and see that for free. But this is great. This is exciting to me to see that they're doing these live broadcasts, because as someone who has come to love this contest, not as a person who has competed in it, but just watching it, it's very inspirational and it's reflective of our community. There are people from all walks of life, people with all gender identities, and people from all parts of the leather rainbow. There are pups, there are rubber people, there are the traditional biker guy, there are people that are into latex, there are people that are into all various forms of leather fetish and kink that are represented on that stage. It is no longer a monolithic black leather jacket biker genre. It has become very open to the younger generations, which bring their own colors and their flavors to the show. I can never speak highly enough about the leather community, and this is an event that encapsulates everything that we are. And so you can see it even if you're at home. Again, the link down in the show notes. And that's our episode for today. I hope you had a good time, and welcome to all of our new viewers. That episode last week brought a lot of new people into the fold. And I felt a little bit of pressure today to really make sure I had my A game on. And so with that, if you would like to drop a comment, you can do that on our YouTube channel if you're watching us there. You can also send me an email, daddysam@atouchofgay.com, daddysam@atouchofgay.com. That's my name and our website, atouchofgay.com. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky, all of the 4 food groups of good social media. A Touch of Gay Pod is our handle. We don't do the X because it's bad juju. You can also find us on Spotify, Apple Music, and all of the other big major platforms where podcasts exist. There are a lot of them. And if you're watching us on YouTube, all the little icons are on the screen. Our podcast drops every Sunday, and if you watch us on YouTube, sometimes we pop in on Saturday or Friday, depending on when I can get the edit done. It's a lot of work. We also get aired once a week on gayphx.com. That is a streaming radio station out of Phoenix, an LGBTQ plus radio station that plays 24/7 music, entertainment programs, interviews, and event live broadcasts, a whole bunch of stuff. They are Phoenix-based, but it is a radio station that you can enjoy listening to no matter where you are. gayphx.com. Our episode airs every Monday at 10 a.m., and you can get us there. And our best of episodes every other weekday at 10 a.m. So I always like to put a plug in for them because they're supporting us, and I like to support them back. So that is it for this week. If you are watching on YouTube, you can see our latest video right there to my left, your right. Just below that, you can click on the big round logo and subscribe. And if you are listening to us on one of those podcast platforms, please do leave us a good review and subscribe there as well. Either way, stay tuned.